When you look at Bremerton and Kitsap County, a clear picture starts to emerge, and that is, it is not a one-size-fits-all for price points. There are many price points for many different types of buyers, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 locations where people tend to overpay the most for whatever reason, right? Waterfront, location, proximity to this, that, or anything else, and some great alternatives that you may not have heard of or considered. Hi, I'm Cassandra, and I help buyers relocate to Bremerton and Kitsap County from all over the country. Bremerton, Silverdale, Poulsbo, Port Orchard, Seabeck, and all of the surrounding areas in the greater Kitsap area. My job is to make sure most of your money stays in your pocket and doesn't go to a house because the neighborhood has a great reputation. Let's start with one of the locations that everyone name drops first when they want to be near the ferry, but maybe not necessarily like right next door to it. And that is Manette. Manette is a neighborhood in Bremerton. And as you can see right here, it's this southern facing peninsula that has water on 3 sides, obviously definition of a peninsula. So one of the reasons why this neighborhood is really easy to overpay is because it has very high demand, but very low turnover. So if you could see right now, there's only 3 pins. This says 2, but it's 2 townhouses that are right next door to each other. So 4 neighborhood pins. So you can see there's not a whole lot going on in Manette in terms of real estate activity. Okay. If I zoom out, you can kind of get a broader picture of where Manette is located. So we're right here in the southern tip of East Bremerton. This whole thing's West Bremerton. You see the big moose head right here? That's West Bremerton. You'll never not see that now. So the reason people overpay in Manette is very simple. High demand, low turnover, and awesome properties and awesome views. So obviously, if you're along any one of these points on the waterfront, you have waterfront access. Just see right here where it says Bremerton State Fast Ferry and then Seattle Bremerton Ferry here. So you can literally sit on your back deck and watch the ferries go by, and it's pretty darn magical. You'll see here, this is the Manette Bridge. This takes you to downtown Bremerton. Over here, we have the Warren Avenue Bridge. So lots of access to this peninsula over here. Average price point in Manette is around $670,000. That's because you'll have like all these waterfronts down here that are $1 million plus, and then all of these interiors, depending on if they have a view, you know, the size of homes. These are a lot of mid-century, so they tend to be really large. They're also on really large lots, so the lots are like double lots, whereas over here in West Bremerton, you can see they're just stacked on top of each other. These are tiny city lots. These are big lots. Streets are really wide. They did a really good job with the infrastructure over here in Manette. So there's a lot to like about living here, which is why there's such a low turnover. People just move in and then never move out. So these interior homes are going to be in for 2-bedroom, maybe 425. You know, you get up to a 4-bedroom now, you're like mid-5s or so. And then all of these waterfronts that are even a lower turnover than those interior ones, they tend to be $1 million plus. I think one sold for $2 million not too long ago. So if you're considering Manette, it is accessible to the ferry. This is the ferry terminal right here. So really you're just coming over the Manette Bridge, taking Washington Ave, and you're right there. It's walkable from some locations, other locations that might feel kind of far. So like if you're way up here on Trenton and Stone, that's kind of far to walk to the ferry. You're driving or riding a bike or a scooter. So maybe an alternative to Manette would be downtown Bremerton. So you see all these piers here. This is the shipyard. And then we have just all these neighborhoods all through here. Okay. So the alternative cities are going to be truly walkable to the ferry. These are neighborhoods that are not car dependent whatsoever. You have access to all of your day-to-day living services and things, or deliveries or whatever, shopping and stuff. But you also get to maintain a super walkable, active lifestyle. If you work at the shipyard, if you need access to the ferry, maybe you live in Bremerton, but work in Seattle, which a lot of people do because the cost of living is lower in Bremerton than Seattle, but the wages in Seattle are higher than they would be in Bremerton. So it's kind of a win-win. Some trade-offs to living here in downtown Bremerton would be the parking situation. And if you're a resident, you get free unlimited parking like street parking. Otherwise, it's 2-hour parking. There are plenty of paid lots. So if you're driving in, say that you do decide to live in Manette and you're driving in, there's garages and paid lots that you would access. Another trade-off would be noise, right? So we'd have a little bit more traffic noise in here. We would have noise from the shipyard if they're doing drills, if they're doing big evolutions where they have cranes operating and there's just some like ambient noise. You could hear that from several blocks away. Another trade-off to living in downtown is that these homes are going to be a lot older, and street by street, the neighborhood changes sometimes dramatically. When you're looking down here, just pay attention to the neighborhood, because when you buy a house, you're also buying the neighborhood. The next neighborhood we're going to talk about is the Chico Waterfront. So Chico Waterfront actually is not talked about enough. I think this is one of the best hidden gems in all of Bremerton. Do you see Dives Inlet right here? So Chico Waterfront is going to be on the eastern shore right here. And you see Highway 3. So Chico Waterfront's going to be down here. So Chico Way runs north and south from Erland's Point all the way to Silverdale. The waterfront side of Chico Way, which is going to be the east side, homes are stacked here like 2 and 3 tiers deep. So you're going to have the homes right on the road, right on Chico Way. And then you're going to have homes, and this is a big hill. They're going to go all the way downhill. And you're going to have this lovely no bank waterfront eastern facing. But you're also going to have a direct shot to Silverdale, where you would go for all your Costco shopping and your Target shopping and all your big box stores. Tons of restaurants in there, good eats. And Chico itself has a couple of like gas stations and coffee shops. It has Red Apple Market, which is kind of like more down here near Kitsap Lake, so it's not quite Chico. So for your shopping, you may want to go into Silverdale, where there's like a Safeway and a Winco. One of my favorite things about Chico Way, and this is probably why a lot of people tend to overpay, is that you have a direct southwest facing view to Mount Rainier, which is over here. A lot of these properties on the Chico waterfront have southeastern facing views, which is Mount Rainier. Another reason people overpay, besides being directly on the water, because obviously that comes with a premium, Dives Inlet has a lot of public boat traffic. So people will sail their boats through here. There's a couple of boat parades a couple times a year. So you have Christmas time, they'll have a boat parade, and then 4th of July, there'll be a boat parade. And at the Silverdale waterfront right here, there's a pier, and they set off, you know, $1 bazillion worth of fireworks. And so you can just sit on your back patio down here and watch the fireworks, and it's pretty darn amazing. And the sunrises are phenomenal from Chico. Those are a couple of bullet points for why people might overpay for this area, but if it's worth it to you, then you're not overpaying. Average price point in Chico is going to be mid 900s. There's plenty of $1 million properties all along this waterfront. And then as you get closer to the road, or even maybe on the other side of Chico Way, obviously the price point tends to drop. If you are in between Chico Way, like say this house right here, if you're in between Chico Way and Highway 3, all of these properties right here, nothing but freeway noise. So if you're used to that and that's not aversive to you, then you could probably get a pretty nice home for an affordable price, because it's right next to the freeway. These homes down here that are down the hill and 2 and 3 homes deep off the road are going to have little to no freeway noise down there. So a good alternative to Chico, if you want waterfront or views, but you don't want the price point of Chico, would be Illahee right here. Illahee is kind of this whole neighborhood, and it's right on Port Orchard Bay, which is not Port Orchard. It's just the name of the waterway. You have views of Bainbridge Island. So this is Bainbridge here, and you may or may not have a view of Mount Rainier. It really depends. You'd have to be really high up on the hill. A trade-off to living in Illahee is that if you do purchase waterfront, this is all high bank. So you're going to have like a waterfront parcel, waterfront taxes, but you may or may not be able to access the waterfront. Some of these homes have access. They've built in like a switchback or a ladder or something like that to get down to the waterfront, but most of them do not. They're just going to have fencing at the drop off. And so you can like peek over and be like, oh, look, there's my property down there, and just like never be able to access. So that's a trade-off from living in Illahee. The average price point over here is like mid 5s. Plenty of residential neighborhoods in here, just single family homes. And you're not going to see really many condos or anything like that over here. Most of the condos you're just going to see like in downtown Bremerton. People opt for Illahee versus Chico because it has a similar proximity to like Silverdale. You're still only 10 minutes away. You're not far out of town whatsoever. Also, Port Orchard Bay right here is, you'll see private boats kind of sailing through here every now and then. It does have Illahee State Park, which has a really great public park and boat launch. Has Illahee Mesquite Preserve, which has miles and miles of walking trails. I take my dogs there all the time. It's a non-shipping lane, so you're not going to have container ships or anything like that, but you're also not going to have any ferries, and ferries don't come through here at all. So just private, sailboats and little motorboats and that sort of thing. Area number 3, where people may feel like they're overpaying, would be the township of Silverdale. Silverdale is an unincorporated township, just for probably tax purposes, I think, is truly central Kitsap. So it's right here where all these home clusters are. And if I zoom out a little bit, you'll see here's all of North Kitsap, there's Bainbridge and Bremerton here, and then South Kitsap is like over here. So truly central, and this is where all your major shopping is. So Kitsap County Mall is here. Like I mentioned previously, Costco, Target, Safeway, Winco, these are all here. You're going to have a really dense population. If you see this road, this curvy road, this is Ridgetop. I did a previous video where I walked Ridgetop a little bit so you can kind of see this is a big hill, all residential neighborhoods up here. You come down the hill, now you're in town, and this is where all the shopping is down here. So whatever you're looking for, you're going to find it. All the restaurants, all the coffees, all the shops, it's all here. In fact, people come from all over, like the peninsula up here. People like drive an hour and a half or so just to come down here and shop during the holidays because it's the closest shopping to the Olympic Peninsula. A lot of people overpay to live in Silverdale because of the convenience to all this shopping. It's also super convenient if you work at the hospital. We have St. Michael Hospital here, which is one of the top of the line, totally redone. They put like $1 billion in it to redo this hospital. It's the only hospital up here on the peninsula. So it serves all of Kitsap. It serves all of Bainbridge, probably a lot of Jefferson County as well. It's going to be the main hub. It's got a light flight directly to Harborview. So it's a big deal, and it's attracted a ton of doctors and traveling nurses and permanent nurses and all the other medical staff that would go along with that. So a lot of residents need to be within proximity to that hospital just for on-call and, quick commute and that sort of thing. So proximity to that. Also proximity to Bangor Base. We have a lot of people who are stationed at the sub base here who live in Silverdale, specifically up here on Ridgetop, but it's also like super close. Check this out. You take Highway 3, boop, and now you're at PSNS right here. Or you can come 303 and drops you off right at PSNS right there. So if you commute in either direction, it's super convenient. It's like a central hub with three-way junctions and all that stuff. If you don't want to overpay to live in Silverdale, a good alternative would be the Tracyton area right here. This whole kind of thing is considered Tracyton. So Tracyton is really unique, and then it has a lot of individual residential neighborhoods. Like you can see all these little neighborhoods in here, like suburban style. That's the feel. Tracyton is a great alternative to Silverdale if you still want proximity, because you're still only like 5 minutes from the hospital, 5 minutes from Silverdale, super easy access to 303. And then if you need to access downtown Bremerton, you're like 10 minutes from downtown. If you needed to access like Chico or Kitsap Lake area, then you're kind of driving around because you have to either go up and over or you have to go down and around. So that can feel kind of far. Tracyton is still in Central Kitsap School District, so you have that benefit. So Tracyton can be a good alternative if you don't want to live in the busyness and expense of Silverdale. Area number 4, where people tend to overpay a lot. This is due to reputation, it's due to lifestyle accommodations, and that would be downtown Poulsbo. So this is Liberty Bay. If I zoom out just a little bit, you kind of see Liberty Bay. We're just north of Silverdale. Remember here, where all the freeways combine. So just north a little bit, take Highway 3, come down and around, and now you're in downtown. So downtown Poulsbo is like, find this little park right here, this little waterfront park on Front Street, and just kind of draw a half circle, and that's it. It's super small geographically, but you can kind of see all these little neighborhoods in here. Like Poulsbo Place is going to be right in here. I walked that neighborhood before in videos. This is a ton of shopping, Front Street, and this is where that quintessential Scandinavian town vibe is all this Front Street downtown. And if you see down here, we have a little more lots. Keep going a little more, Fjord Drive. These are all like $1 million homes on Fjord Drive. So, and it's all walkable to downtown. So if you're living within a half-mile radius to a mile radius of downtown on the west side of the 305 here, then you are in proximity to downtown and you're going to pay a premium for it. People love the walkable lifestyle. Like they move here just for that. They love frequenting the shops. They love going to the farmers markets. They love the waterfront dining. Like this Poulsbo Poulsbo has a well-earned reputation for a reason, and people just love it. Like, I just might go there later because I'm talking about it and it sounds cool. It's just super charming and people are always in a good mood. So if you don't want to pay Poulsbo premium to live in this downtown waterfronty area, another location would be like right across this Fin Hill location. Let's zoom out just a little bit. So these neighborhoods over here are going to be suburban, single family homes, a lot of planned unit developments. And so all of these pins are actually new construction. This is a new construction development right here. These neighborhoods are at one point new construction, but they're all planned unit developments. So they're walkable if you're okay walking a couple miles, if you consider that walkable. If not, then you're driving. These are pretty car dependent no matter where you want to go. There is some shopping up here. There's like a Walmart and there's the Home Depot and there's a whole big shopping center like right through here. So you're not far, but pretty car dependent still. Why people buy in these neighborhoods versus downtown Poulsbo is your dollar is going to go a lot farther here. The trade-off is you're not going to have that charming downtown vibe. You're going to be in a planned unit neighborhood with smaller lots and homes that look really similar to each other and that sort of thing. If that is not a deal breaker for you, then the Fin Hill location and kind of surrounding neighborhoods might be a good alternative for you. Neighborhood number 5 that we're going to talk about is Olalla, and we're going all the way to the other end of the county. Olalla is in South Kitsap, and it is the last town in Kitsap County before you get to Gig Harbor, which is just over the county line in Pierce County. Olalla is one of those hidden gems that people just don't consider when they're looking for views or waterfront or something like that. These properties, like say these few properties right here, these are all going to be views. Some of them are waterfront and these are on acreage. So it's a really interesting combination of really big properties, but also luxury waterfront, luxury views. And so like this one's 910, this one's 1.3 almost, 1.9 for this one. So Olalla can be really expensive and a sticker shock if you were not expecting to see these luxury properties in South Kitsap. Olalla has a really lovely community feel. It's got a lot of really beautiful old farm style homes and craftsman style homes, and they're all on acreage. It has a beautiful little Olalla Bay market. Olalla's going to have a higher retired demographic just because it is like off the beaten path, if you will. It's just kind of removed from the freeway. It's not near any downtown. It's not going to be a busy lifestyle. So this is going to be a slower pace of life. It's got its own little mini winery. So there's a lot to love about Olalla, and especially if you're looking in that like retirement demographic sector, this might be a good place for you to land if you're willing to pay these sticker prices. Another thing about Olalla is there's a lot of farm property. So if you have horses or you have livestock, there are a lot of equestrian livestock properties out here specifically zoned for them, but also set up for them. So it's going to have the barn, it's going to have the paddock, it's going to have the stables, it's going to have the tack room already. You're going to have everything that's all set up for your animals already ready to go out here, also coming with a pretty hefty price tag. An alternative to Olalla, if you prefer a more affordable neighborhood, would be just right up here in Port Orchard proper. So if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see that Port Orchard proper has its own little downtown area. Port Orchard is actually home to City Hall and the courthouse. So all of your county courthouse situations you're going to go through here. Fun fact, all of Bremerton used to be Port Orchard. It used to be city of Port Orchard back in the day. Then Mr. Bremer came along, made this his own little town. He's the one who kind of started the shipyard and everything. There's a whole history to that. It's pretty cool. But this section of the county remained Port Orchard, and that's why the county courthouse is here, is because Port Orchard was considered the first like township or city, if you will. Downtown Port Orchard is really affordable. Port Orchard is highly walkable. You have 2 foot ferries, one here in downtown and one over here in Annapolis. So you can see kind of the dotted lines here. And these are foot ferries over to the Bremerton side. This ferry dock is directly next door to the state ferry dock. And you get off here and you're walking distance to the IMF gate. You're walking distance to the Seattle ferry if you needed to turn around and hop on that and go to Seattle. Also, the rest of downtown. So the ferry terminal at Bremerton is a transfer center. So if you needed to catch a bus elsewhere in the county, this is where you would do it. Downtown Port Orchard has also gray bus access, so not car dependent at all. So if you just were okay with a busier way of life versus Olalla, if you want your dollar to go a little bit farther, then you would should kind of consider this area. Some of these neighborhoods are super, super old, so take that for what it is. And so, buying into older neighborhoods and older homes, you're going to have older home, I like to say issues rather than problems, because we can solve anything, right? A lot of these are going to have views. This is built up on a big hill. Division Street's up on a hill, this whole area. So a lot of these are going to have views of the shipyard to the north and Sinclair Inlet. If you end up buying up here on the road a little bit on Beach Drive or Bay Street, you're going to have full western exposure and you're going to be able to see the ferries go by. So if you are relocating to Bremerton or Kitsap County in 2026, and you're looking at any one of these areas where buyers tend to overpay, or trying to decide between a premium location and a more affordable location, there's a link in the description below to book a quick call with me so we can kind of flesh out what works for you and what doesn't, and what location might be the best fit for you. I can help you compare all the locations side by side, what you're paying for, what you're getting for your money before you commit, so that you know exactly where your money's going and what you're going to get for your dollar. I'm Cassandra. I help buyers relocate to Bremerton, Washington and Kitsap County, and I'm happy to help you find out exactly what works in your price range so you can feel good about it from day one.